thing we're going to do is actually take a look at the handout that I gave you guys as you came into the classroom. And just to set the tone for the lesson, you're just going to answer the 3 questions on the handout as best as you can, and you can talk to your neighbors if you want. You have about 2 minutes. 1 or 2 minutes, depending how fast you go. It's okay, we're not going to talk about them today. They're for next class. So
oh, okay.
just answer however you would actually answer if you want. Okay, so about 30 more seconds to just finish up whatever thought you're on. Okay, so today we're mostly doing a summary. There's one new idea that we have to cover, but we're not going to get to it until the end if we get to it at all today. So last class we talked about heritability. So can someone tell me what a trait is if it's heritable? Yes.
They're traits that are passed down from generation to generation.
Oh, it's like you read that right off the handout.
No. I do my homework.
Okay, so we know that every individual has heritable traits. Okay, so but does every organism have all of the same heritable traits? We talked about this last class as well. No. So can somebody tell me what that's called when organisms have different traits that are heritable?
Is it diversity?
It is diversity. Okay, so what's one example of a diverse trait? So a trait that you and I might not have the same. Yes.
We're girls and they're not.
Okay. I guess that is heritable, yeah. Do you have any other examples? Hair color is a very good example. Something like eye color, your height, maybe your weight, depending on what you believe. Okay. So we also know that not all organisms live long enough to reproduce because it's a harsh environment. So many organisms, plants and animals, die before they reach reproductive age.
That's depressing.
It's important, though. Okay, so what's going to happen to all of our heritable traits if we don't live long enough to pass them on? Are they going to get passed on? No. So they're going to probably go down in percentage of the population over time. So some traits give organisms an advantage over other organisms in their environment. Okay. So, just to brainstorm, what's like one example of a trait that would give an organism an advantage over another one in the environment?
Gills of fish.
Yes, okay, so if you're in the water, you don't want to have gills, but are gills good on land?
No.
Okay, so some traits are really good in some environments and not so good in other environments. So what's an example maybe of a plant trait that would be really good to have, or really bad to have?
Melts in sunshine would be really bad.
Yeah, see, if a plant were to melt in the sunshine, do you think it would really live long enough to reproduce and pass that on?
No.
Okay, so we had one example already of a trait that could be an advantage in one environment but not another. But this is really important because it gives gives a diversity across different habitats for animals. So what are some other examples of a trait that could be an advantage in one environment but not in another?
Bright colors.
Okay, bright colors for what? Where would that be an advantage, maybe?
I don't know. The disadvantage if predators could see easily. So maybe out on the plains.
Okay, but there are animals that are brightly colored, so why might that be an advantage to them?
Attractants.
Okay, so to be able to find each other easily, to be able to tell each other things about each other, maybe. Okay.
Maybe scare off other things, because maybe
Okay.
they don't like my bright colors.
Yeah, so if something's really brightly colored and it looks like a bee, then maybe we know we don't want to eat bees, so maybe other organisms also know that they don't want to eat bees either. So, what thing did I write? So we know that these traits, they give organisms an advantage in their environment, increase in that environment over time. Okay, so all of these come together and explain natural selection. So does anyone want to venture a guess and try to give a definition of what they think natural selection means then? So does the word selection and natural, so those maybe, yes.
Naturally choosing different traits that help the organism within their environment to survive
Okay,
and
and
reproduce
how does natural selection happen? How are traits selected?
through reproduction. Because if not all organisms live long enough to reproduce, and if their traits help them live long enough to reproduce, then those traits will be passed on. But the people who die off early because they have bad traits will not reproduce and not pass their traits on.
Okay, yeah. So the most important part of natural selection is that organisms don't do it on purpose. There's no end goal, it's just some organisms live and some don't, and that's what causes the diversity within a species to change over time. So for the last few minutes, I'm just going to get you guys to answer these 2 questions on your exit slips. Ooh. Oh, you can have 2. Maybe. And then you can talk about it with your partner or as you want. Okay, so when you finish, you can just hand them in.
There you go, Miss Teacher.
Thank you, Miss Teacher. Okay, yeah, and we'll talk about the handouts that I gave next class and what you guys thought at the beginning and maybe what you changed. That only took 9 whole minutes.